2, 1, and go.
Alrighty, everybody. Alright, we're gonna turn that down. That's a little loud. Alright, cool. I don't want to deafen myself. Alright, well, welcome back to Mateia. This is session number 7, which feels like it's not been that many, but here we are. Alright, so, last we left off, our group of folks traveled from their location where they had just fought man the demon who had turned into a train. They traveled from that location um, into the woods where they bed down for the night as the children were exhausted. They were exhausted. And as they were sleeping, Anthea witnessed a magically created frozen gate appear in the middle of what felt like a snow globe that surrounded their campsite. And through that frozen gate, um, he saw Vallista walk to, well, not be seen since then. Eventually, after waking up and realizing that you were now missing a party member, the remaining party members and the children and their familiars traveled towards a lake where we found that Naomi is, well, not the most confident around bodies of water. Uh, there were a couple of canoes there where the children happily jumped into them, followed by our avid adventurers. Upon summoning a couple sharks to pull these canoes across the lake, uh, Anthea noticed a very large multi tentacled beast swimming in the water that she, well, didn't really tell anybody about because so that's out there somewhere. But eventually they made their way across the lake into a very rundown, abandoned, pretty much destroyed town where all the children ran off ahead and disappeared. Through investigating the town, the party found different items of value, gems, jewels, etc., as well as a new friend. Um, or we're still debating whether or not they're friends, but he seems friendly enough. Named Dragon. They learned that the children they were with were actually ghosts of their former selves, and 3 of them were laid to rest at their graves. Dragon led them to a small village outside of the town where they met with the leader of this town named Kathy, who the party learned was the communal older sister ish kind of relationship to Jeremy, the child that Vallista offered up to the Prince of Frost the day prior. Um, she flashed sadness at this, but gratitude overall, learning that he may now have a second chance at life. They did learn from Kathy that from this conversation that the shadow flu is what was afflicting Jeremy, and that it did seem to persist through death onto his ghostly form. Whether or not it still is persisting on him, I don't know. But Kathy offered them um, places to stay, food for the night, and our party rested and completed a long rest that evening. And Dragon went on. He went on his rounds, his protectorate rounds. Had some flashbacks of some some visceral imagery, which he didn't quite remember prior to that. But the party did wake up in this small little village, and they awoke to Kathy showing them where breakfast is to be served, and they find Dragon. Um, Much to Anthea's surprise, teaching children how to sword fight and duel with a motion for motion, um, identical fighting stance and um, actions as her younger brother did many years ago. But that's where we find ourselves today at this camp. We're gonna go with this music and this one. That's too much. But this is where we find ourselves. It is the morning. You guys, like I said, did complete a long rest. You did wake up to Kathy offering you all breakfast and saying after breakfast you guys can talk more if you so choose. She did request that if you had the opportunity to maybe help figure out what's causing the shadow flu, but said that you could continue that conversation today if that's something that you felt you wanted to do, but there was no pressure from her in which to do that. So, what would you guys like to do?
As Naomi gets up in the morning, she would make a point to um, hurry out to assist with the breakfast preparations or distributing of food, and she would make sure that one of the last plates that available is the one that she would take. Everybody else would be settled down and eating and or finishing before she eats.
Okay, yeah. They are very, very grateful for the help that you provide to them. All the children line up very orderly and very respectfully, and they get um, their their meals as well as all of the other villagers. And then Kathy motions to you to try to make you take breakfast before she partakes herself. As I think you guys are on this kind of same wavelength, like having that we are the ones who are the providers and the protectors, so others go first. And she is looking at you, trying to make you go first.
I this being her camp and her insistency, I would take my plate first.
She nods and kind of chuckles to herself, knowing what you're doing, but appreciates the fact that you let her insist that you go first. What are the rest of you doing?
Probably ask her more about this mission. I would say,
Okay.
first you say we had no great sense of overarching goal beyond escape and not get consumed by a murder train. Um,
Hmm.
and certainly you've offered us such hospitality, so tell us more about how we can help.
She kind of looks at you confused for a second. Goes, murder train? Train? How,
Yes,
what?
let me rephrase. It was like a building. So imagine a wizard's tower, articulated so it could bend,
Mm-hmm.
horizontal, and just as magical and just as dangerous. And in this case, it happened to be evil and possessed by never mind. It was bad and it was evil, um, and it was part of why some of the children's souls were trapped. So it was an experience.
It sounds like it was definitely that. Well, I'm glad I wasn't there, and I'm glad you all survived and were able to make your way back. Um, so hopefully that situation is taken care of. But the the shadow flu, it if it's the same disease that I think it is, this isn't the first time we've seen it. We've seen it before. We thought we had eliminated it by getting rid of the creator. We kicked them out of town. Um, quite some time before our town was lost in the attack, which obviously you saw the remnants of that. And she refers to the town where the children are buried that you guys had passed through, where you met Dragon. Um, years before that, there were a lot more people who lived there, other than just the few of us that remain. We had many different jobs and different duties. There was a small school. There were people who dabbled in many different things. We had every everything from masons to carpenters to practitioners of magic to people who could heal. We had people who dabbled in natural medicines and sciences and things like that. But there was a younger gentleman at the time. He looked younger, but he was quite aged. He was more elven in nature, so sometimes those of elven heritage tend to look a lot younger than what they actually are, which good for them. But he was he was of the younger elven age, but still much older than the rest of us. He was a he was a student of nature in the sense that he wanted to blend the natural with the unnatural to try and create new things. He referred to himself as a scientist, more so an alchemist than a scientist. And initially, it seemed that his goals were lofty, but well, positive. He actively tried to. Well, he was successful quite a few times in making small like antidote and things that would cure small illnesses like upset stomachs or nauseas or dehydrations and things like that. But he wanted to try and create more curables. He said he was trying to create things like salves and potions and greater magical restorative imbibements. And I mean, he was somewhat successful, I guess. He was able to create antitoxins and venoms and antipoisons and things like that, but that seemingly wasn't enough. And he started leaning more into the darker side um, of alchemical creations, and he started testing on wildlife and our own flocks of animals that we use to survive. As you see that there are cows around here and some goats. Based on what she's telling you, imagine that they used to have many, many more different varieties, just larger herds of these beasts that they would use for food and resources and all kinds of other purposes, as a typical larger farming and growing community would have. Um, but he started testing on our own livestock and our own resources, and he didn't have quite the same results. Some of his concoctions led to death of those animals and destruction of those resources, and he created poisons. He then started to get more magically inclined. Um, I don't really know where he got his power from or where he was gaining this knowledge from. He was fairly private in his studies and his practice when he wasn't out testing on people and animals. And once he moved on to what he called the human testing side of things, where he would nobody wanted to volunteer to help him, as they saw that his um, his test subjects weren't necessarily surviving. They were ending up much worse than when he first started. So it seemed like he was sneaking his creations into the water supplies and our food sources, and different people were getting sick. And after we realized what was happening, it was a little too late. That's when the shadow flu itself um, had started. We don't know necessarily if it came from one of his concoctions specifically, or if it came from other magics that he may have had. But until he started trying to advance those practices, we had never seen an illness like that, and it ravaged a significant portion of our town. We we had to call well we had to call some, or put out the word for someone, anyone really, to try and help. And there was there was a woman who came through with another party, not much different in size from yours, but she seemed to be a holy woman of sorts. I don't necessarily recall who she practiced under or who she attributed her worship to, but she was able to use her abilities to cure those of us who had fallen ill. I myself had not fallen ill from it, but Jeremy did. Um, by the time that she'd gotten to Jeremy was when um, our town had come under attack. The healing was not quick. It did take many months of her religiously and rigorously practicing on all of our sickly townsfolk to figure out exactly how to cure them. So by the time we finally did figure out the cure, it was getting much worse. And we did the only thing that we could think to do, and that was, well, reject Alistair and his practices and throw him out of town. Um, we we excommunicated him. We kicked him out. And we told him never to return. And as he left unwillingly, but as he left under the threat of violence and, well, death, which we didn't want to do, but sometimes you have to take drastic measures to protect the masses, and, well,
Of course.
he threatened to return one day and yelled out what I can only assume to be a curse in some language that is unintelligible to me. And he had this weird green aura about him as he said these words, so I don't know. But as he was kicked out and left, and the holy woman continued to heal the majority of our village, she, for some reason, couldn't cure young Jeremy, or she was working on it but hadn't been able to complete the process. I don't quite know where she was in that. When our town was, well, it came under fire and ended up as you saw, and that's when the children were slain, when the majority of our town was slain. The holy woman herself, I think she was slain. I don't know. I didn't see her. Her party had left a week or so to go and try and get some more work and just kind of adventure, assuming she was going to be safe, but we haven't seen them since they left, so I don't know what happened with them. But when we were attacked, we fled, and we fled, and next thing we know, once all the fighting had stopped and it was quiet, we returned to find the city in the ruins that you saw it, and then we settled close, but not too close, so that we could visit when needed and, well, try and recover any sense of our past and our history that we might be able to. And that's when we met Dragon, not too long ago. And since then, he's been protecting our village and keeping watch there during the day and keeping watch here during night. And he's become, and she looks across the giant table, which is effectively in front of that fire where Iggy is, and just kind of nods to Dragon. He's become one of us, and we're very glad that he is here. And I know that we're not his family per se, but we consider him a part of us, no matter what. So.
Of course.
But yeah, since then, we have heard rumors that the wildlife is taking the same type of reactions to the same thing that he did before when he was testing on wildlife. We're starting to hear rumors that those type of things are happening again, but worse. We've had a couple. We luckily haven't had any villagers that have gotten it yet, but it sounds like it's the same thing, but maybe worse. I don't know. We haven't necessarily adventured out to find Alistair. It's not something that we want to do, but we've had a couple woods folk come and trade with us as we do, and we go out and trade so that we can get more supplies here, because obviously we can only do so much. But we've heard rumors that off to the far east, by a couple of weeks, he's somewhere. There's apparently some real evil patch of land where he might be. I don't know. All I know is it's about 2 weeks east on foot, and if you just keep following through the woods, eventually you'll get to an area that just feels evil, if that makes any sense. Um, but
Does that make sense?
that's where that's where the source of the symptoms is at least coming from what we've heard. But again, we're not fighters here. We are survivors, barely at that. And so we're not going to go ourselves. We're not going to try and demand or force your hand to go. But if that's something that you would like to do or be willing to do, I'm sure we could find some way to reward you, or at least offer you something more than what we currently have to offer.
Of course, I have to liaise with the team. If everyone's nearby, I mean, just chime in. I'm not quite sure if this is a one-on-one conversation or if everyone else is hanging out, but I defer to the team and also see what Dragon has to say, since he's got reports and knowledge of more recent info.
So while Kathy and Pax are talking, and Naomi almost being forced to eat breakfast first, and then see Kathy not even eating because she's talking. Anthea, what are you doing?
She's listening to this. I'm assuming I'm sitting near where Pact
Yeah,
is.
you guys are all fairly close. If you want to listen in, you 100% can hear it.
Definitely. And at first, Anthea was sort of looking through her notes and trying to find anything about a shadow flu, which I'm assuming she probably doesn't really know much about or have much about. And then as she's listening, she's also kind of like adding notes to her notebook. And she would also ask if there's any remnants from when Alistair was around, like if there's any of his materials left behind from his studies or anything we could peruse to find more about him.
She thinks about it for a minute. No, he took the majority of his, what I believe to be his research with him. There were no books or scrolls or anything when we searched his place after we evicted him. And then in the destruction of the town, all of his residence was destroyed completely, and there was nothing left anywhere. So unfortunately, I don't have any of those that I can provide to you. But I mean, I can tell you if you wish to know. I can tell you what I recall of the symptoms then and compared to the symptoms now, if you think that would be of use.
And she's like getting ready to jot all this down to add to her new pages.
So she describes that some of the symptoms back then were that the creatures that were subjected to his testing, and eventually what they deemed to be the shadow flu, started developing your standard flu symptoms, but on top of that, their eyes would become dark and black, and they would use their color. Their skin would start to gray, and eventually start to necrotize. And they didn't see it so much in the humanoid populace, because at that point, when they realized that he was starting to poison and test on the humanoids, they stopped him. But as far as the bestial presence in the town, they almost became zombified and then skeletal, and then came back as some living skeletons. But they had these weird, like, their bites had, they could just see like this black ooze dripping off of their teeth, and so whenever they bit onto anything, it would induce a poison-like effect, which would then necrotize whatever it was that they bought, whatever they bit, and it basically turned the creatures to more of an undead kind of creature, more so than just outright killing them. It kind of converted them.
Okay.
And it wasn't always successful. She goes on to tell you that there were a couple bears that became more like undead, flesh falling off, bones kind of sticking out, just mangled maws and necrotized flesh. Some were turned into more of that living death kind of feel, whereas others just did not survive the transition and perished. But wherever their bodies lay after perishing, that ground, when their bodily fluid seeped into it, it seemed to poison the immediate area around it. So they did see at one point that one of the creatures he tested on perished into a small brook, and it poisoned the water for probably a mile or so, as there were consistently
Dang.
dead um, waterfowl and fish and plant life. It all just kind of died for a mile until that blood kind of just dissolved in the water. But nothing ever was able to regrow in that portion of the river, and that part of it always had to have this weird, always seemed to have this weird like poison essence around it, that anything that would try and swim through it came out the other end looking very undead. So.
Okay.
But that's what she has as far as information regarding what she remembers and what's being reported right now.
And local rumors say things like this have been appearing in the east?
Yes. We've heard that there are that things have they're similar but different in that there have been people that have been converted into like these like amphibious large humanoid creatures, maybe. I don't know if that's the new advancement on his magics or his alchemical creations, but there is the wildlife itself is dying, the plant life itself is changing and dying. But he didn't. He, like I said, he wasn't always that way. He used to want to heal people, and he wanted to be good. But something changed, and I don't know what it was, because we always supported him in his endeavors to heal and endeavors to bring cures to our village. Why wouldn't we do that? That's to the benefit of everybody. We encourage that. We encouraged him to be able to heal others, to be able to create concoctions that would be helpful to us and to, well, the whole world. But something changed him, and I don't know what that was.
Well, seems we'll have to ask him ourselves then.
Well, hopefully you can find him. Dragon, what are you doing during breakfast?
Yeah. I would probably at some point like maybe walk up during the like tail end of that conversation.
Okay.
And look at everyone, but primarily look at Kathy and say, do you think there would be any connection with the shadows that roam the old town?
It is possible. I mean, I don't know what caused those shadows per se, but nothing's impossible.
I do my best to keep those streets clear, but seems there's another one every day.
She nods. Yeah, well, at least we know that the children have returned. So, we don't have to worry for them anymore.
You are correct. It is very good that they are home.
If you want to go with them, if they decide to take up this task that I've told them about, we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
I'd hate to leave you all behind. Do you have anyone? How are any of the sorry, I've been a bit lax on my training of any new guards. How have they been lately. I'd hate to leave the village unprotected.
They've been doing well. While you haven't necessarily been driving them into the ground like a militant leader would as far as training is concerned. And she kind of flashes a look over at you, Naomi, realizing what you're wearing.
Oh yeah, Naomi's
Yeah.
just she just kind of chuckles a little bit and drops some more food to Simon down on the ground, who's just gnawing away at it like the giant derpy mastiff he is.
She kind of throws a glance your way, not anything of like malice, just kind of like, I know what you do. The kind of person you probably are when it comes to training. But yeah, while you haven't been training them as militantly as you may have liked, many are now comfortable at least wielding a blade, if it came to it. And we do have those who go out and hunt who use a bow regularly, so we'll be okay. Um, and worst comes to worst, we've survived a full town ransacking once before, so we know how to escape and how to survive, so we'll be okay.
Well, that is definitely a good thing to hear. Um, I'm sure we could all find out. We will all find out what the cause of this is and deal with it. Hopefully, not be gone for too long.
She goes, well, we will miss you here, but you have to live your life too. And, well, you've been given another chance from what it seems. But maybe leaving will help you regain some of your lost past. Sometimes, to go forward, we have to go back, and sometimes the only way to go back is to go forward.
Speaking of, all of you here have helped me remember who I am in a sense. I'd hate to forget all of that come morning. Do you have a journal and maybe some ink and a quill I could bring with on this journey?
Absolutely. Um, and she stands up and excuses herself for a moment, and you see that she walks down this way. Actually, it's daytime. I'm just gonna turn on your lights all the way because, it's daytime. Oh no, there's still shadows.
Oh, well,
but
we,
anyway.
we see slightly more of the camp.
Well, there are still shadows. But anyway, she walks over and she steps into this tent, and she is in there for a couple of moments, and then she steps back out. And she is wielding what looks like a small tome with a not quite a quill, but or a quill but not quite an inkwell on top of it, and she hands it to you, and you see this package of a tome that she hands you seems to be wrapped and bound in what looks like and feels like tree bark that has been somehow repurposed from being the armor of trees to the armor and the cover of this book. So the outside of this book feels very rough, but very much like a tree, like you're holding a living, breathing document in your hand. Um, and as she takes the binding and kind of unties it and hands it to you, she opens it up to the first couple of pages. And you see in all of these different little paragraphs on these first few pages is a memory and some commentary written from all of the citizens of this town. It goes on for half a dozen, 6, 7, 8 pages. Each one is in different handwriting. Some very eloquently written and very beautiful to look at aesthetically. Some very much like a 3-year-old who's just learning to write is writing for the first time in this journal. But each little passage that you can see as you quickly leaf through the pages seems to be a memory that you created with each of the people who live here. And these memories are combinations of good times that you've had with them, things that you have taught them, positive experiences, just generally memorable moments that you have had with each person who resides in this town. Um, and as she sees you leafing through, you see the smile kind of crawls across her face. She says, "We always kind of thought that one day you might leave. Um, we hoped you would. Hoped that you would go back to wherever it is that you came from and kind of find yourself again. But we also didn't want you to forget us, so we've been working on this. Each day when you are at the old town, um, keeping the ghosts at bay and keeping watch for our missing children who have now returned, thanks to them, and kind of waves an arm over at the rest of the party. But we've been writing our memories of you as well, so that you won't forget us if you leave and aren't able to return for a long time. So we hope if you're ever feeling lost or without or disconnected, that just reading some of these moments will help you remember that no matter where you go or what you do, you can always come back here and you'll always have a home here with us forever. This can be your second home, third home. It's a home. So,
Dragon smiles and kind of puts his hand on Kathy's shoulder and says, "You are all too kind. I promise we will be back with news of success soon, and I promise that I will find and finish whatever plagues you all."
she nods and she just whispers thank you. And she kind of steps back around you and goes back to her breakfast, back at this table, sits back down. Naomi, what are you doing other than feeding Simon scraps?
She's watching the entire exchange. But as she comes back and sits down, Naomi kind of pipes up after being quiet for a long time and says, "Um, ma'am, if I may, I have a question, and it may sound ignorant, but I feel like you are under the understanding, as we've stated before, we are not from here. Um, where is here? What is the name of where we are at?"
Well, I, for us, it is just our prime plane. This is where we've been. Well, this is where we have always been. But different groups that we have met, different travelers and tradespeople who have come through, who aren't native to these lands. That party specifically, and especially that I mentioned with the holy woman who was assisting us. They referred to this region as something that I'd never heard before, but when they explained it, it kind of made sense, and I didn't have a reason to disbelieve them as they seemed very truthful and all of their logic and reasoning was sound. They they referred to this place as something known as the Shadowfell. I don't know if that is something that rings a bell with you, but that's what they told us. But for us, this is home. This is where we reside. There was a there was a very intelligent person with them who tried to describe to us the ins and outs of, I guess, interplanar magical travel, but that was very complicated, and we none of us necessarily understood what they were talking about. So they just kind of boiled it down to there are lots of different lands and lots of different places that sometimes you can only travel to using very, very powerful magic, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, that's where they said we were, but I don't necessarily know what that means in comparison to anything else, and I don't know if that necessarily gives you the answer that you are looking for.
Do I know what the Shadowfell is? DM?
Roll either a. You are all sitting there hearing this, so it's not like this is unknown to all of you. So you can all roll um, intelligence checks or um, yeah, just intelligence checks.
Oh, would you take a history?
Sure, you can do history checks if you want.
Yay!
Is
Damn
that
it!
for all of us?
Yeah.
Fought so hard for my +3. Pax coming in clutch.
That-
Three.
That makes sense for Dragon. Dragon doesn't really remember a lot of things, so
He's currently remembering a lot.
yes.
Really zen about it, you know.
He is. He's like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Pax and Anthea, you both know through your studies, and Pax through your just general magical arcane knowledge, since you're the most tapped into the arcane of, well, anyone you've ever met, realistically. Um, you know that what they're talking about is the multiplanar, multiversal magic theory, where there are different planes of existence between what you know for yourself as the material plane, where all of the three of you at least are from. Then you know there's the Shadowfell, there's the Feywild, and there are many, many, many other planes in between and outside of those, and that people can and people do, with enough time, training, experience, and monetary backing, for reasons sometimes understanding and sometimes not, travel between them. And in some planes, there are hellish creatures. In other planes, there's chaos, there's planes of law and order, there's planes of just mystical, magical fun times, and everything in between. So, you know what she's talking about as far as Shadowfell. And Thea, you've heard of it before. It's not necessarily common knowledge, but based on your role, it's not uncommon. It's just not something that you've necessarily dabbled in because it hasn't really been in what your goals have been based on your backstory and whatnot. But you know it's a thing that can happen, but you know, you've never tried on purpose. So, and then Pax, with that 23, you will also, thinking about it now and thinking about how you know that people do travel via planes, the um, the portal that you went through when you got here was the means by which you got here. It was effectively a portal that could be used for a multitude of things, in depending on the different elemental stones and different combinations and magics that were utilized. Remembering now, it could either be utilized as a teleportation circle or a portal of plane shift. And you imagine in the order that you guys put the stones and the way that you activated it as a plane shift portal when you walked through, and you arrived in your spooky train station in the Shadowfell.
Cool. I will share that context with the party for sure.
You guys all now have all of that knowledge.
All the knowledge.
And Kathy just kind of looks at you, Pax, very impressed, and not realizing that you were as smart as you just explained all of this in simple terms that she actually understands this time. It wasn't in like, basically, she was told about plane interplanar travel by effectively a wizard using very like high educational terms that were just out of her grasp, and you made it so that it was comprehensible by those who might not necessarily understand it the same way. As in my mind, bards know how to communicate with the people that they're in front of, kind of from that performance perspective, so you know how to adjust knowledge to the crowd so they understand what you're trying to put across. At least that's how I like to look at bards, as the knowledge of the people. So,
Basically teachers.
yeah, right? So, yes, she understands now what they were trying to explain before, and nods, and she's like, oh, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Never thought about it, but I don't want to think too hard. I might get a headache. Anyway. Yeah. Anything else you wish to be doing right now, Naomi?
No, not really. Probably just offering to help clean up. Um, as I finished my plate and kind of give her the kind of like head tilt and kind of a little bit of Fred black brow. Look down at her plate and then look at her like eat, and then I will start picking up everybody's plates, and take them over to be washed and cleaned, which I will assist with until people try to take me elsewhere.
All right. We'll just say that there's a little like dishwashing basin thing up here by these rocks because that seems like a good place for a dishwashing basin for a communal kitchen area. And Thea, what do you wish to be doing?
I suppose getting prepared for some kind of journey. It sounds like we're mostly in agreement that we need to go and find this Alistair person and also hopefully find our way out of here at the same time. So, yeah, I suppose just gathering notes and kind of tidying up where I'd stayed the night.
Okay. As you guys are finishing up breakfast and tidying up, you see that different people kind of try and get your attention to go to different places just to kind of show you a little bit more around this little village, this encampment that they've put together. And I'll just tell you, as far as things that are in this town, there is a small like trade tent that has like your base goods that you can buy and sell stuff at. There's a blade and an armor smith. There is a carpenter. There's a guy or a fisher person who will sell you things related to fishing, since there is water not far from here, and it's another one of their trades that they work in. And there is a herbalist who is kind of like their medicine woman, but also does other things with herbs that they can find in these woods. So if any of those shops or things like that interest you, you can obviously visit those. But if not, if you guys just collectively tell me what you want to do, and we will do it.
Is there any potions of healing on offer? I'm assuming probably not. Other magic goodies.
Let's find out. Let's see. I'll roll a D100 and over 50, sure. No.
Oh.
They have no potions of healing, but I will say, just through talking to the herbalist and the tradesperson, there is enough stuff that you could get effectively healing salves, potions of healing, and there is also enough to put together for a healing kit. I don't know if anybody is proficient in healing kits, or healer's kits, but those are on offer as well if that's something that interests you, that you would maybe want at all. But yeah, they do have healing salves, which effectively, they're, I don't know if they're an actual item in D&D Beyond or not, but they're something I like to just use. So it's basically like a giant foam bandage that you can slap on a wound, and instead of doing the equivalent of like 2d4 plus 2 for a healing potion, it does 1d4 plus 1 temporary hit points, which is effectively the same. But you can use it at any time. So if you have full HP, but you have like a scrape or something that's bothering you, you could repurpose it as like an icy hot patch and give yourself 1d4 plus 1 temporary hit points, which last until you take a long rest. So they have 2 plus 2. They have 4 of those. So
I would buy one for each of us.
okay.
Depending on how expensive they are and if I can afford it.
Yeah, they are 2.5 gold apiece. So
I'll spend 10 gold and give everybody one dose.
okay, cool. So everybody has one healing salve that does 1d4 plus 1 temporary hit points. So, and as you look at them, they are basically giant foam bandages with herbs that have been crushed and put into almost this like syrupy mixture that is in this little vial that you basically pour the syrupy mixture on top of wherever the wound is, and you put the foam bandage on top of that, and that kind of puts the seal around the area and creates this little healing region. So anybody wish to visit any of the other townsfolk in the town?
After reading the memories and everything in the book, I probably get up and go throughout the town just, giving my goodbyes to everyone.
Okay. And they hit you with the, not the goodbyes, but the more of like, see you later, see you soon. That's how they kind of respond, because they don't really see you as leaving permanently. And even if you don't come back for a long time, they very truly believe they will see you again. In this life or the next, they believe they will see you again. So,
Love it.
Naomi and Thea, anything you guys want to do in the town?
I don't think. I suppose I could use some charcoal and herb to have on hand for my find familiar spell if I need it.
Okay. I'll put.
The herbalist might have some.
Yeah, those are all of the shop capabilities that are in this little town. And you're looking for herbs for find familiar.
Yeah.
How many? Or how much are you looking for?
I think it says 10 gold worth. Let me just double check.
Yeah, I think it is 10 gold worth of
Sure I have things.
stuff.
Yeah, charcoal, incense, and herbs must be consumed by fire in a brass brazier.
Okay. Yep. How? Let's see. I'm gonna roll a D4, and it's a D4 plus 1. This is how many uses worth that she will have if you wish to buy. So it's like 10 gold times whatever this is. So she has 3 total doses. So if you want to buy 3 casts worth, it would be 30 gold. But she has up to that much. So.
Do that.
Okay. As far as like components for that spell in particular, you can make the charcoal yourself. You can find the herbs yourself because of your class and your background and whatnot. The only thing you really need to buy is the incense, and you can get that from like a herbalist or a religious institution or a cleric of sorts typically. But you can find, if you're in anywhere that's a decent forest, you can find the herbs that you need. And you can just make charcoal. Anytime you guys make a campfire, you can just collect that charcoal the next day, and you have charcoal for that. So, just so you know. So.
Wait.
And if you want to look for
Okay.
incense at different times, we can probably figure out a way to mechanically put that in there so you can go on the hunt for magical incense. Cool.
I will take 30 gold for now, though, right?
Yeah. So just take 30 gold out of your inventory. And you can just add in 10 gold worth of however you want to describe that in your inventory. So, but you have 3 casts worth of find familiar, however you want to do that. So, Naomi, you finish up doing the dishes and helping the townsfolk post breakfast. Anything else you wish to do?
I would like to visit the blade and armor smith.
Okay. You make your way. We'll say that they're over here. Sure. I like that one. They're over there.
Perfect.
Simon's with you too. And you walk
Okay.
in. It's more of just like it looks like a tent. It's not super huge inside, but you do see that there are a few weapons and some armor, and you see kind of through a little slit in the back of the tent there is an anvil out back, and he's got a small little forge kind of built into this. There's a rock right there. It's kind of built into that rock right there, a little forge.
Oh, hey, look, rock.
I know. I didn't even realize that rock was there before I said that was the thing. Good call me.
Self high five. Yes.
Yeah, high five. He just looks up at you. You've seen this. You've seen him. He's seen you at breakfast and throughout the shift. So he just kind of waves and says, can I help you?"
Hi, yes. I was hoping you may have a sharpening stone.
Oh, like a
as I
whetstone?
wished. Yes,
Oh.
a whetstone and a good polishing cloth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Is that all you need?
Yes, I like to keep my, and she kind of like gestures. She kind of like shakes her back a little bit, and her glaive kind of moves a little bit. I like to keep it sharp, and it's also kind of meditating, if you will. And I haven't done it in a while, so.
Okay. Well, how many would you like?
How many do you have in stock?
44.
Wow.
They are 1 copper piece apiece, so that's why he has so many.
Gotcha. How many uses, quote unquote, would I get out of a whetstone?
I'll say 3.
Three uses out of a whetstone?
Yeah.
Okay. She will pull out a gold piece and put it down on the counter and just say, I just need 30.
He's like, oh, okay. I'm gonna have to go back to the river to restock on my stones, but okay, I like it. And you see he gets this little box. It looks like it's just made from an old stump of a tree that has been carved down into something small, and he just starts very neatly stacking in just 6 stacks of 5 whetstones, and then just like closes it up and puts it your way, and then takes the gold coin and leans over into where he keeps his money in this little like money box and starts counting out 70 silver to give back to you in change.
I turn around and I walk out.
You
Come
forgot
along,
your
Simon.
you forgot your change.
Nope, she's walking away.
He's like, he just kind of, you just hear this chuckle from far away, and he just puts it away and then comes back out and just sees you and kind of nods from afar, acknowledging your graciousness to him. So, but yeah, so we'll say with these whetstones, because I like people using different things that you can actually buy that are utility-based items. If you use it, we'll say if you sharpen your weapon with it, that you can give yourself on the next for the next, it's gonna be weird because it's gonna give you a bonus to either attacks or damage, but for like a specific period of time.
Can I pitch an idea?
Yeah, go for it.
What I was hoping is that after a certain point of sharpening and polishing, it either goes up to essentially a plus, another plus, or it just adds one additional damage hit. But it's not a temporary thing; it'd be a permanent thing. So you just tell me when I've gotten to that point, as kind of like leveling up her glaive, essentially.
You know, I like that better than my idea. So yes, we'll do that. We'll finagle with it and we'll finesse it. Obviously, that's not going to happen today, but we'll work with that and we'll figure out how many it's going to take. My gut's going to tell me. Right now, my gut says it'll do it, and eventually you'll get to like a +2. But I think it'll be like every 20% you get there, it'll do something a little bit different. And if there's ways that you guys find that you want to upgrade your specific gear as well, we can obviously work to do that. Just we'll figure out a way if that's something that even interests you, and we'll make it work. Because I like the idea of upgrading gear, because that sounds really cool. Instead of just getting more and more gear, you just upgrade what you got. I like that.
Yep, we can discuss it in more detail, but that was kind of my idea, is her meditation almost for sharpening it. But like, if I don't do it one day, obviously it wouldn't count. So I would think I would specifically have to say that like I'm doing this for like an hour.
And then we'll just, whenever you do it, you'll just take 1 whetstone out of your inventory, and that's how we'll just track how many you've done. Or even just put like used whetstone as another item, and you'll just keep tacking onto the used whetstone, and that's how we'll track it. That way it's just easier.
Perfect.
So right now you have 0 used whetstones and 30 unused whetstones.
Got it. Yeah, I'll track it in my in my inventory so you can see it there as well.
Makes sense.
Perfect.
Cool. So as you guys kind of recollect yourselves and kind of Dragon gets done talking to all the people in the town, Naomi finishes up what you were doing. Is there anything specifically, Pax, you wanted to do post breakfast?
No, don't think so.
Okay. So everybody, you're all very aware of the conversations that were had earlier, just because it was all at the same communal table. So now you can determine whether or not that's something you want to do, or if you want to go do something completely different. But that is the option that Kathy presented to you as something that they would like you to do, but obviously it's not a requirement or anything like that. It's just something that's there. So, what do you want to do?
Off to quest, folks. What do we think as players?
I think we should go check it out.
I agree.
I believe I'm inclined to agree as well, considering these are my people.
All right. At this point, it's late morning, so probably 9:30, 10 o'clock. You guys have kind of finished your rounds, finished getting your stuff together, communed with the town a little bit more, kind of built that little bit of relationships with them in the time that you've been here. Um, and Kathy says, "Well, um, we very much appreciate the fact that you're willing to do this. You know, it's really hard to find people that you can trust, that are dependable, that, well, that do what they say they're gonna do, and don't have any don't have any secrets about it. They're just willing to help those in need. It's a very rare commodity. Um, we very much appreciate anything you can do. And if you can't solve the problem, don't feel obligated to fight to death or anything like that. Just know that we appreciate you even trying. Um, you see that she starts to get a little welled up as she's thinking about like the past that she has with Alistair, and the fact that you guys are willing to go and at least take a look and see if this is in fact that, and without really even asking for anything or demanding anything, that you're willing to just go and do this for them. Um, she goes, "Well, I know it's not a lot, but let us at least give you some food for the road, so that you at least won't go hungry for the first few days. We don't have a whole lot that we can spare, but we do have enough that we can give um, the four of you meals for about 4 days. We have good traveling meals that we always have on hand for when people go and camp in the woods for a few days to hunt wild game, and to when our herbalist goes and collects herbs and people go with her." And so she pulls out this little small satchel with 4 days of good rations for each of you. So instead of like the dried meat and the hardtack and things like that, this is there's still some like dried salted meats in there, but it looks and smells more flavorful. It doesn't feel as leathery and as hard as the normal traveling dried meats. There are some fresh vegetables in there, some berries and some different fruits that they have. It's it's a very well put together, very healthy, um, very balanced set of traveling rations. So 4 days worth of very nice traveling rations for each of you, which will last the whole journey plus some, because it's not necessarily going to go bad. But yes, she's like, "Well, this will hopefully, at least if you are unable to find anything good on your travels, hopefully this will at least keep you going and keep your morale boosted. Nobody likes to be hungry and mad when they're traveling. It just makes for a bad time, and it just extends your trip." So, and you see at this point all the children of the village are like running up to try and get Dragon to teach them more sword fighting, and Kathy's trying to like wave them back. They're like, "Mr. Dragon, Dragon, Dragon," and they're like, they have their wooden swords and they're all like trying to like swing at you, and then you see the oldest of the children, who's probably only like 9 or 10, kind of stands in front of them all, and like the commander of a military says in a booming voice, "Halt, present arms." And you see all of these kids in unison kind of stand in a line, click their feet together, and very recognizable to you, Naomi, they all take their sword and they put it across their chest, and then they hold it up in the air and salute Dragon with these wooden swords, and then he says at ease, and they kind of put them away, and then they all run away to go continue playing. So
Dragon just has a smile on his face and would look at Kathy and um, pull something out of his bag and clutch in his hand and kind of take her hand and place it in hers and say, I promise we'll be back with news of our great success and finding out how to stop the disease that plagued the children. And I kind of, once again clasp her hand and let go. And in her hand would be a little symbol. Um, one that Dragon doesn't necessarily recognize himself, but knows it's most likely of great importance and could leave a good memory of him for everyone. It is a little symbol, a symbol that has what looks to be a sigil emblazoned on it of a shining bright sun rising over what looks to be a grassy hill. And he just says, that's to remember me by while we are on this journey.
she nods and says, I don't think I can ever forget you, so I hope you come back soon. But thank you. Again. And she looks
Just-
to...
I'm just doing what's right.
She just nods in agreement. She looks at the rest of you and says, well, I know we haven't known each other long, but you seem like good people. And I hope that you can take care of each other. And again, I thank you for bringing the children back to rest. And if you ever run across Jeremy again, just tell him. She kind of stops for a second, and you see what you thought looked like a facial expression of sorrow creep on her face. Very quickly, turns and morphs into almost like she's having a happy memory. And she looks up and says, just tell him I love him, and I miss him, and I'll see him soon, and I hope he's well. And I wish him the best in whatever it is that he's doing. And with that, she kind of goes, well, that's the direction. If you follow that path, you'll eventually come to a path in the woods, and you can just follow that for a couple of weeks, and that's apparently where this region of evil land is, and hopefully you find what we're looking for there. So, good luck. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you all again. And she goes to turn to walk, to go take care of whatever it is that she has to take care of for the day. She kind of starts walking this way.
As she starts walking away, Dragon would kind of just shout out, Kathy, just one more thing before we go.
Yes.
And he would walk up. Tell the children to keep practicing. They're doing great.
Of course.
And with a smile on his face, he would walk back to the group.
Alright. You see that at this point the children have gotten very rowdy and are chasing each other around, trying to smack each other with the broadside of these wooden swords, and you just see that Kathy, the village mom, is chasing them around, yelling at them to stop and to behave, and all the other adults are just laughing as they're watching this older lady chase around a bunch of children trying to get them to listen, which we all know isn't going to be successful, but it's a funny thing for the rest of the town to see happening. And you guys are left to your own devices in the town. What are you gonna do?
I'm ready to depart when everybody else is. No pressure, no rush.
Likewise. Access prepped and ready.
So I find myself quite ready to go. My blade is nice and sharp, and believe it is time we pay a visit to this Alistair.
Okay. So as you guys leave this encampment outside of the town where you laid the children's ghosts and souls to rest, with the goal of finding Alistair, we're gonna go ahead and take a break right here.
And go.
All right. So we're back, and you guys have decided to set out on your journey to the east. So I'm gonna move you over to this, just randomly here on this forest path. So basically, the way this is going to work is that since it's basically a 2-week travel adventure, we're not gonna spend every night of 2 weeks doing stuff, because that would drag it on for a long time. If there is anything specific that you guys want to try to accomplish in these next 2 weeks, I will have you make checks to see how far you can advance in those accomplishments. We'll make checks for every few days that pass to kind of see how things are going, if you're getting lost, if things happen. We'll kind of just dice roll our way through 2 weeks of travel. So we'll just go left to right in the name order to see if there's anything specific you want to try and accomplish in the next 2 weeks. And obviously, any roleplay you guys want to do, I'm here for it. Dragon, anything you wish to try and actively work on in the next 2 weeks?
Win the campaign.
Yeah.
I mean,
Victory.
victory.
Guys, this is our last session. I'm gonna roll 2 nat 20s and we win.
Not quite.
Shame. I would probably say throughout the nights that we would camp during this journey,
Mhm.
Dragon would spend most of it reading from the book, and I want to say attempting to remember who he was.
Okay.
Try and get back any lost memories.
Okay. So roll me 3d100s.
Oh, snap, that's a lot of D100s.
Okay. We will get back to your memories here in a little bit. Anthea, anything specific you want to try and accomplish over the next 2 weeks?
Aside from like putting together notes, which she already kind of did before she left about this shadow flu. Maybe if she has any books, she could try to see if there's any other instances of this happening elsewhere in like our home plane.
Okay.
I don't know. Aside from just research and.
Okay. Cool. So I'll have you roll me, let's say, 5 nature checks. Okay. See how many nat 20s you can bust out. Okay. So you haven't necessarily heard of or seen yourself. The shadow flew on your home plane, but it is similar to other types of illnesses that you have seen. Um, you aren't so your practice of medicine is more so what occurs more so in nature and natural means by which to cure it. Meaning, being that you're a druid and you spend a lot of the time in nature itself, more so than that of a cleric who I like to imagine is more of like that hospital in setting doctor kind of like medicinal person. Um, so you've heard of different things in nature that can overtake other things. The zombie fungus, which you have 100% heard of, that can turn a creature effectively into like an undead zombie if it infects them when they're alive, and I forget the name of it, and it's a weird name. Cordyceps, that's the one. So you know all about the cordyceps fungus and how it does something similar to what Kathy was describing, but it doesn't do it in the same manner at which Kathy was describing. So this might be something similar to that, or it could be some other illness or some other warping of nature itself um, by magical means. But you know that cordyceps fungus can be removed without killing the host. So you can lean on your knowledge of that whenever you have another host of this. Whenever you find someone who's suffering from the shadow flu, to kind of try and figure out a way to maybe help heal them. So we'll say going forward, anytime you make medicine checks to specifically figure out ways to cure someone of the shadow flu, you can have advantage on them based on your knowledge of cordyceps and how that works.
Okay.
Yeah. So on medicine checks specifically to helping to, you might not have the means by which to do it, but you will have advantage on how to figure out how to do it, if that makes sense.
So sorry for that. That would be for
Yeah,
medicine checks
advantage
on
on
people.
yep, advantage on medicine checks when you're trying to figure out ways by which you can cure it from someone.
Who's afflicted.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. All right. Pax, what are you doing? We'll say all these rolls are just for this first week so far, so that we're not doing all 2 weeks in one
I'll say
combo.
week
So.
1, I would try to practice flying an Iggy. See if I can get a little bit better at flying the flyers.
Okay.
It was a newish thing for this campaign.
All right. So you can either roll acrobatics or arcana, depending on how you want to try and fly him.
Let's do Arcana way, because that's a plus 10.
Okay. So just
How
do.
many rolls?
We'll do 3. Well, you roll pretty well in acrobatics, which is all plus 10. So yeah, you get a pretty good handle on ways by which to fly Iggy. Um, you're in a pretty open forest most of the time. There are giant patches, kind of like how you see here. You can get in areas where you're kind of zooming in and out and going up and down and flying around. Iggy likes to stop and hang out with the trees sometimes, but
I've got a chat with the local peeps.
yes, he's got to chat with them, figure out what's going on, see how things are going. You know,
Build the tree
Say
team.
he's checking his tree mail.
he is checking his tree mail.
Badum-chee.
Yes, yes. Cool.
The GM side.
All right. And then Naomi, what are you doing this first week?
The first week would probably be a mix of in the evening she would be sharpening her glaive, using that as kind of a time to meditate for herself, since she's in a very weird place, not even close to where she feels like she should be.
Okay.
And working on more training with Simon, trying to improve his strange ways.
All right. So roll me 3 animal handling checks for Simon.
Okay. That's fair.
He is more excited to be outside playing and watching Iggy fly around, and he wants to try and fly, but he's a mastiff and can't. But that doesn't stop him from jumping and trying to like float. Um, he doesn't not listen to you, but he doesn't anything like you're teaching him, and he's doing it well. And then he almost immediately forgets how to do it after you've stopped showing him how to do it. So he's like attentive, and then he sees like a squirrel and chases it and comes back and just forgotten how to do
Threaten.
all of what you want. And then
Oh
we'll
boy.
say that you. Let me see if the weather was bad any of these nights. I'm gonna roll 5d100s. The weather was not great 2 of the nights with a 37, so we'll say that you got 5 whetstone completions on your sword done. So
Okay.
you got those. All right. So Dragon, as you're trying to recall some of your 138 memories, um, or 68 memories, sorry, 168, a lot more memories, all of the memories. You you remember
Oh, like that laugh.
you remember one of the nights, as you're kind of sitting there looking at the fire, just when you're on watch, late into one of your shifts of watching, you see that um, the fire kind of goes from an adequately sized campfire to almost a low, slow burn. And inside of it, you see some shapes start to take form. Um, and you're kind of staring, and every now and again, you get what looks like facial features, but you're not quite sure. They're not putting together as well as you would expect. And then as you kind of sit and focus and try to remember, and you're just willing and forcing yourself to recall things that you know are there, but you just can't quite tap into, you manage to drag something that feels like it's deep, deep in the back of your mind, just kind of sitting down there at the bottom, just being weighed down by this weight of just what. Imagine a Imagine fog being condensed into a brick, and it's just weighing down on effectively this chest of memories, and you are just ripping and pulling to try and drag these memories out of this chest. And you manage, after some time and a lot of inner reflection and just forcing yourself to remember, you manage to drag one memory out of this chest. As you're staring at the fire, you see the faces that you were almost putting together really start to take form this time. And you see that the fire itself almost molds into 2 young girls, who you recognize as your children. Um, as you look, the fire itself doesn't necessarily add color or depth and contour to the facial features of them, but you know immediately who they are. You know your children. Um, you know your daughters. One on the left is Annette, and the one on the right is Sarai. And you see that as you stare and look into the fire, they're just smiling, and the fire, almost like the fire is waving at you and smiling, and you just sit there comforted by the fact that you remembered them. Um, and as you remember them, you kind of stop trying to force more memories out, and you're living in this moment and this memory, and it feels so close yet so far away as far as time is concerned. But this is definitely a memory of your daughters when they were children, and you are just enjoying this memory and living in this moment for what feels like hours, until eventually the fire just kind of burns itself down to its coals, as fires do, and you eventually finish that night's watch, feeling relaxed and relieved that you're able to remember something so important and so special, and that now that you have remembered that memory, you can recall it at any time. Just your children looking at you, smiling and waving. You see them just beaming up at you, so proud, so happy, so loving.
At some point during the memory, it would be night, correct?
Yes.
At some point during the memory, Dragon would kind of just like subconsciously reach out towards the fire, kind of ignoring the flames itself,
Hmm.
and just reach out towards the flames. And he kind of, whether anyone's awake or asleep, uh, he doesn't really necessarily care who overhears it because he's focused on this. He kind of lets the flames not burn his hand, but he's letting the heat, rise on his hand. And he, as the fire fades and the memory ends, he kind of just says to himself out loud, "The warmth. I can finally feel it again." And kind of just grasp his hand with his other hand and just kind of stare at it as the memory and the fire fade.
As you fall asleep, um, waking up on the morning of day 6, I need you all to make perception checks.
Perception. Damn it.
Wow.
Come
Hey,
on,
man,
Pack.
I'm
It's all up
busy.
to you.
No. Yes.
Oh, thank God. Somebody's paying attention.
As you
Very
guys,
slowly, but very intently at the end. I'm like, doo 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 doo.
right, as you guys, as you guys all wake up in the morning, um, you guys are all just kind of still groggy. Dragon, you're awake, but you're laying there with your eyes closed, just still living in that memory from the night before. I'm just enjoying that since it's back to you now, and your hand still stinging from the burning of the fire, but something you're not upset about. Um, Pax, you kind of wake up a little bit before everyone. You're looking around and just generally keeping an eye out as you see everyone starting to stir, and you hear off in these trees something moving around very loudly in the tops of the trees. And then you hear not far behind that like almost a yelling and a grumbling. What languages do you speak?
Common, Elvish, and Sylvan.
Apparently, he also speaks gibberish.
I mean, everyone should speak gibberish. It's a perfect language. So you don't understand what you're hearing, but you're hearing aggressive yelling from multiple voices, all in the same language, it seems like.
Hey, I'll shake everyone. I'm hearing aggressive languages, and aggressive voices in different languages.
Does anybody... I mean, I could just look. What languages does everybody speak? Okay.
Hold on.
Okay. Wow, you all speak very similar languages. Okay. So as Pax is waking you up, like bringing it to your attention, you guys hear the yelling even more, and you see a giant rock come flying across this way into the trees, and out of the trees comes jumping and smashing this giant ape. And then chasing this giant ape, not far behind, oh, this giant ape is actually jumping and running this way. This thing that you now know what it is that was yelling and chasing and throwing things at this giant ape, almost like it's hunting it, is this giant three-headed monster. And they're just running at you, charging anger and hatred in their eyes. I need everybody to roll initiative.
Shock, horror.
Oh no.
Do any of us
Smiley
understand
face,
what
like,
it's yelling?
sad face, 'cause he-
No, because nobody speaks giant.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh sadness.
Oh man, remember. Oh,
Oh.
why you got put sad face on my diatroll, guys?
you know, no one ever takes giant as a language except for me. It's a useful language.
Which music did I pick for battle?
I-
I like this one. I'm using it.
I beg to differ. I think I have a random PC that speaks giant. And I
Yeah, and you
honestly
would be
think it's
like-
easy.
You would be like the second ever person, I think, who has giant, who isn't me.
Nope. Nope, she took orc. Never mind. I
Okay,
thought
well
she took
then
giant.
I still remain the only person to ever have used the language of giant.
I take that back. Pan is a furbolg and she speaks giant.
Yeah.
Two people.
Two people.
All right.
I took the language though. You
Oh,
just
that's
started
fair.
with it.
So, this giant ape, charging out of the trees, running from this giant monster, it's just gonna try and run and smash its way through the things that are in front of it. So it's going to 5, 10, 15. It's just gonna run and try and smack you guys and run past. So it's gonna take a swing at Anthea and a swing at Pax. So this first one is at Anthea. Second one is at Pax.
Yeah.
24 for
Okay.
27, and then 19 for 26, and it's gonna move. It used 15 feet to get to where it is, and it's got 25 more feet. So it's gonna basically move to. Actually, it's gonna move to these trees over here. It's gonna run because it ran in, smacked you, saw everybody else, and it's like, nope, and then it's gonna run to these trees. So if you guys. The three of you there can all take attack of opportunities if you want, and I think it might have been in your reach too, Naomi, because it was here. Is that 10 feet from you?
Sure, I'll hop.
That's cool. Yeah, so if you want to take it and stop it from running, you can. That's up to you. Otherwise, it's trying to run to these trees. So seeing
yeah.
it's being chased, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will 100% take that sentinel. No, you stay still.
Okay.
Looks like I'm trying to conduct it rather than stab it. I'm just waving my rapier in the air.
12 hits.
Awesome. 10 points of slashing damage, and he's actually. Can I use the skill
Sure.
and push him back?
How far is it pushing back? 15 feet? Oh, or 10 feet back? He'll go 10 feet back.
Yep. So I want him to go 10 feet back.
All right. Dragon, you also have a hit against it, and Anthea, you have one if you want it as well.
Oh, I
Yeah.
would love
I'm
to
just
take
trying
one.
to check my thing to make sure that I'm not accidentally. So with Beyond 20, the Druid settings, how did I find that again?
Oh, you just hit the red Beyond 20 button,
Mhm.
and then if you scroll down to the bottom, it should say whatever it says for Spore Druid. You can turn it on or off if it's there.
It does not. I just want to make sure it's not on when it's. Oh, there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it was on. Here we go. So just add regular quarterstaff attack then.
And then that 27 bludgeoning damage was the 27 was against you, and then does 19 hit you, Pax? Because if it does, 26 damage to you too. Okay, cool. And the 10 will miss. And Dragon, you have an attack as well.
So Naomi,
At
you
27 damage, is that right?
26. Yeah.
Naomi, you have your Guardian Glaive. I have Shadow Steel.
20 hits, and you're using it
Ooh.
one-handed.
It is one-handed.
Cool.
Named weapons
Nice.
for the win.
Names like high five.
High five.
Shadow Steel, Slayer of Twisted Visions. Okay. Naomi, it is in fact your turn. You just saw this giant ape jump in and smack both of your teammates pretty hard, and then tried to run, but you stopped it and then pushed it away anyway. So, what are you gonna do?
Let's see. So I'm gonna shout, everybody run, and I'm gonna go. Let's see, I need to math this out. Okay. Yeah. Naomi's gonna say, everybody run, and she's going to take Simon. Her and Simon are gonna go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and try to get behind this tree and try to get everybody to come with her, since they kind of got the ape to stay still and it's closer to the giant thing that's coming towards them. Like, just nope behind the tree,
Okay.
and it's just flagging for everybody to follow.
All right. Are you doing anything else with your action or your bonus action?
Let's see. Actually, as my action, as I'm running away, I'm gonna shout to the ape, and I'm gonna say sit, and I'm gonna cast command on it.
Oh,
Try to make it stay still.
That's funny.
Yeah, sit on its turn. If for some reason the thing's not there.
It just, we're gonna make it have arrows in its back, so it's gotta sit. Okay. Dragon.
Yeah, so I take a slash at this big ol' ape, and then Naomi runs off and tells us to run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just general question.
Mm-hmm.
Just from what I know, I mean, I have my own armor and everything. It's not fancy of armor. Naomi very clearly looks like, you know, high military.
Yes.
Okay. I would probably, let's see, 5, 10, 15. I'm going to dash, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Right here. And kind of on my way while I'm running, sword still in hand, shout out, I sure do hope you have a plan.
Okay. Anything with your bonus action?
That will be my turn.
Okay. Anthea. You see this giant ape just kind of looks stunned for a second, almost like it doesn't know what it's doing, and it's just kind of standing there. It'll sit down on its turn, but it's just standing there.
Can I glance over at the giant? Does it look like it's focused more on the ape, or has it spotted us?
So it has 3 heads. So one is focused on the ape, one is focused at you
yes.
and Pax, and the other one is looking towards. Well, it can't really look through the trees, but it's generally trying to look this way. But there's 2 sets of trees between its right head and your other party members. But yeah, it can see all of what's going on.
Oh, great. Okay.
And it also does, in fact, have 4 arms. That picture is accurate to what it looks like. So.
Okay, in that case, I am going to use my wild shape and activate my symbiotic entity.
Perfect.
To get my yeah. So let's do that because more
HP is the best HP.
40 temporary HP.
Damn.
Okay. Sorry, just added that.
Double your HP right there. It's it should be
yep. Plus 40.
Yeah, it's 4 times your level. So.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
I love it. Okay, so I have that, and then I glance over at Pax and see he's also taken a big hit. So I would like to use my bonus action. Poor Pax, we both just got smashed by this terrible, terrible ape.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do a nice high level healing word. How's that? Let's do 4th level, just for funsies. So 17 for
Nice.
Okay, and that's, I believe, all I can do.
You have your movement still.
Girl, yes, sorry. I would like to move away. that
I
was very bad.
figured.
Can we say I was here? I was kind of in the middle, but
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you can move to wherever your movement will allow you to go.
30. Okay. Can I move through Iggy? Is Iggy flying?
You can move right past him. It's no problem.
Okay.
You just can't end in his spot. So I didn't think you were going to. So.
Okay. We'll book it behind this tree.
All right, Pax, it is your turn.
Hey. So Anthea's still pretty hurt as well, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys are both.
Hit points. I'll be okay.
Yeah, she just got 40 more hit
important
points.
to run.
So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You see this spores grow on me, and it looks like I'm a little more.
I like to imagine you have like a full set of mushroom armor on you.
Yes, basically, yeah. It's cool.
Well, since Naomi has called us to hide, I think I will join her in doing so. I'm just looking through options. These aren't spellcasters, so my silence trick may not be super effective. So I'm gonna go. Actually, I'm gonna reverse the order. I'm gonna do this first. Where's the right button? Click. Spend the slot. Cast a spell. No big deal.
Oh snap! All
Then
right.
go hide.
Love it.
Going invisible after you hide is not like hiding, really. It's just like being obvious. So. Spell first, hide later.
I'm gonna. You're a ninja now. Do you want Iggy to go anywhere, or just pretend he's a solid tree and just stand there?
Oh. Right. Yes, Iggy pretend to be a tree. Seems like a good idea. You can fly if you do, but for now,
Okay.
I don't giantly want to kill a random tree.
That is true. Just because I think it's funny, roll a performance check for Iggy.
Nice. He is feeling tree.
Wow.
Iggy is the treeest of trees you've ever treed. So, Iggy just like, if you didn't know he was a living tree, he's just a tree. So, Iggy be a tree. Alright, so this troll, seeing you all run away, it sees its first prey, however, closer to it. So it's going to run over to this giant ape, and it's going to unleash a bite and 4 claw attacks. So here's the bite. 15's gonna hit it, and then 4 claws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, they all hit except that last one, because natural ones miss. So it gets plus 19 plus. It takes a total of 68 damage from this troll. And I think that is.
Troll, I'm so glad I took chromatic orb. Really damage types.
Yeah. And it's going to roll a. No, it has 3 heads. It can see where some of you went. Well, it can see Anthea. It can't see the others who are behind a tree right now, because the only one that would be in the line of sight would be Pax, but you're invisible. So, and the other 3 of you are behind a tree. So it sees this mushroom-covered Anthea because it saw you before. So, there's that. Oh, you want? Oh, that's
For recording. That's the only
you're
there.
cool. I don't know why it won't. Here, let's just see if this works better. How's that?
Perfect.
Cool. You guys are outside right now. I just like having the shadows from trees because it makes it more realistic. Anyway, this giant ape has to sit down on its turn after just getting demolished by this 4-armed 3-headed troll. It just sits down. Like, it's looking at it, and you see the fear in this giant ape's eyes as it just follows the command and sits down. Naomi, what do you want to do?
Snack's still there. We can still run. That thing hits hard. And I kind of like look at the. Well, I don't see Pax next to me, but I look at Dragon and I say, "Fighter, we can run, but we have a chance to run."
I have combat experience, but I've never fought something like that before.
I will hold my action to dash if Anthea takes off running.
Okay.
But I would like to do something else with Simon.
Okay. What do you want Simon to do?
Okay, I want Simon. Let me open Master Cheeks. I may have to use that. I want Simon to use his 40 feet of movement to run out here and try to I guess persuade the uh the troll to follow him and then dash away. So like leading him away from the group.
Okay, so you're gonna use Simon's movement to get up here first. What is Simon's movement? 30?
40.
So do you want him to go all the way up to it, or just like to here?
Well, I was actually gonna have him go in front of Anthea
Oh, okay, that's fine.
and go this way.
Oh, so like there, and then just basically keep running like this and just run this way?
Yeah, and take him that way in like southish.
Okay, so we'll say that about right here, that he can roll a persuasion check and
Charisma.
see what happens.
Magic Simon.
It'll go against their insight check
Oh!
to see.
Why does he have a -2?
I know, he's such a derp. He doesn't deserve a -2.
Okay, so we'll do an insight. We'll do an insight check, and if it's less than 7, he'll likely believe Simon. Wow. All right. Well, Simon can take off running. He can't go anywhere until his next turn, so he can take the rest of his 40 feet of dash movement.
Yeah, so essentially Simon's gonna go this way and try to take him south.
Okay.
While basically Naomi's flagging everybody to head north. So basically Simon's going one direction, they're gonna go another, but still continue the path that they're gonna go.
Man, I can't believe that failed that badly. Anyway, all right. Dragon.
I think I would take the same sort of course of action. If you would let me, I would hold to dash until Anthea starts running. Just following in Naomi's lead because she is the military person, whereas I'm kind of just a guard of a village.
I hope Anthea goes into melee combat with a dire troll and you all chase into combat.
We all just
Start
run into that
battling it.
too.
I'm just kidding.
Anthea, it is your turn. You see Simon run past you, bark at this 3-headed troll, and 2 of its heads turn towards it while 1 is still focused on the giant ape.
Yeah, we're running. So I'm gonna use my flash. So that gives me. See? No.
And Pax just disappeared. He was there, and now he's gone.
Oh.
You have no idea where Pax is right now either.
I'm going to probably run there and probably run into Pax at that point. Then, if I don't see him.
Unless Pax moves out the way, sure.
Unless, yeah, I don't know if Pax could use a reaction to like.
I mean,
dodge
if
me.
you want to step out the way, you
Because
can just step out the way. That's fine. I'm not gonna make you burn a reaction just to step out of the way. But if you don't step out of the way and she runs into you, it'll be like a 1d4 damage, and then you'll have to roll a con save to keep invisible. So there's that. But yeah, I'll just say you stepped out the way as she ran by. And so as Anthea runs that way, where are you?
So yeah, I'm just trying to get behind this tree, so I'm hopefully out of sight, out of mind, and
Okay.
then I'll start to head north. So I think I still have. Oops, I should have marked where I was.
You were 2 squares away
I'm
from
at
Iggy.
40.
Yeah, so you basically are. That's at 40, yeah.
Okay.
And if you're trying to go up this way, you have what, 60 feet of
So-
movement? You can go like right there.
Yeah, let's go there.
Cool. And so as she runs past, your guys' dash triggers, and so you're just gonna take your full, 60 feet of movement to go
She
up this
dashes.
way. Both of you guys dash. Well, I mean, you don't have to use the whole thing, but it's up to you. Because the two
Yeah,
of you
so
you held your action to dash when she ran past. So
I think I would go to here.
Okay.
And pause here to keep an eye on Anthea to make sure that she makes it safe.
okay.
Since so that would keep me behind a tree and her behind a tree. but that's what I'm watching for Anthea to get past me because I have no idea where Pax is. But
That's true.
Pax is smart and knows magic, and I only know minuscule magic. So I'm like, he does magic stuff. He's fine.
Okay.
And I'm kind of just following lead. I would also rush behind this tree.
Okay. All right, Pax. You see all of your team just run past you, not knowing that you're there. You stepped out of the way as to not get trampled by Anthea, but they all ran. What you gonna do?
I think I would follow them.
Okay.
And bonus action heal myself some, because why not?
Okay.
Oh, I clicked the forms button for my character sheet. That does not work. Oh, hold on. Got the back button. Yes, I will healing word, and run to keep up.
Okay.
Have they noticed Iggy?
I'm gonna roll on their turn to see,
Okay.
because they were more
They
just
haven't-
yeah. With with Iggy's 32, they're not worried about a tree, because
I don't want to
You're in the
abandon
woods.
him, so I guess I'd tell him, once they're gone, come follow us. I assume he can find me somehow.
yeah, if he's your, we'll say that it follows the same rules as Find Familiar, because I think that's what it is. But that within 100 feet, you can give it mental commands, and then within 1,000 feet of you, you can still see through its senses. You just can't command it after that 100 feet. So, if the order was, "Hey, come find me once it's safe," you have a telepathic link. Iggy can find you. So,
Cool. Come find us when it's safe. And I had 9 HP, and I'm very happy with that.
I think you're back up to max now. Yeah,
I
you're at
am.
max
That was
now.
Perfect math.
Look at that. That big hit like it did nothing. Okay, so this dire troll, he's got 3 heads. One head is stuck on the giant ape. One head, I'm gonna roll a perception check to follow Simon. And the other one, since there's 3 and he's not a complete idiot, is gonna roll to see if he notices anybody else. Or if he's just going to kill this thing and
Considering I'm like right in line of sight.
Yep. So he gets advantage on perception checks that are smell or sight. So here's the first one to see if he can follow Simon, which you probably will see him. 12. Yeah, I mean, Simon made it obvious where he was going, so I'm going to say he saw where Simon went. The second one to see if he notices Anthea. 18. Roll a. Well, you were just sprinting, you weren't necessarily hiding, so I'll
Yeah,
say, yeah,
not really hiding.
he sees you there, he sees the giant ape, and he sees Simon. The giant ape is what they're focused on right now. They know where you are, and the assumption would be if you're over there, the rest of your group is there, so it's more food. So he's gonna try and eat the thing in front of him, and then we'll see what happens next. But he's gonna go ham on this guy, and he's gonna use his Whirlwind of Claws ability on this giant gorilla. So it needs to make a DC 19 save, which it's a monkey, so it's probably gonna fail. It did. And it's still alive. Yeah, that could have been you. It rolled not great. But it is this ape's turn, and it doesn't have to get up. It does have to get up, it doesn't sit anymore. So it's gonna get up, and it's gonna fight back. It's gonna make 2 fist attacks at this troll. 16 and 18 both hit. That's a lot of damage from 2 fists to the face. 41. Okay. All you see is this.
Well, each other will just watch.
Just. That's like 2 big, just like haymakers crack. The one face that's looking at it, and then the face that's looking at Simon. Just. Naomi. What you want to do?
I am going to hold. I'm gonna stay where I'm at because he hasn't seen me. No, I'm gonna move right there.
Okay.
And since he hasn't seen me yet, I'm gonna hold my entire attack action
Mm-hmm.
if he comes running this way, and that's my trigger. But I'm watching Anthea, and I want her to get past me.
Okay, so if he moves within your reach, you're going to attack, but you want Anthea to get past you safely. Got it. Cool.
Yeah, that is my. So if he comes in front of me, I will attack him if Anthea is still within his line of sight. My goal is to try to get Anthea to go further.
Okay.
Simon is going to stay within line of sight of the troll
Okay.
and try to dance around and make himself look
Okay.
appetizing.
Roll a performance check to pull off the Pumbaa dance
Okay.
from Lion King.
Can I roll with advantage since one
Sure.
head has attention?
Yes.
Okay, yay.
I will say
Hi-ya.
that earlier when you said you were looking at Simon's sheet, I really thought you said, I gotta look up Simon's cheeks. Like he was gonna twerk, and I was just like, okay, sure, whatever.
Oh, like you would argue that.
No, I totally let your dog twerk.
14.
That one head really wants to chase Simon. So,
Awesome. He will hold a dash action
wait,
for
I
if the guy
skipped
starts
Dragon.
chasing after him to launch forward.
Okay, Dragon. What you wanna do?
Dragon kind of just takes a step behind Naomi and says, "What's your command? Do we run or do we stay and fight?"
Stay with it. Stay on Anthea. I can keep him back and catch up.
All right, and I will hold my same thing as before. I'm gonna hold to dash until Anthea starts booking it past.
Okay. Anthea. You see
Yep,
one head
I'm
sees you,
booking
the most left head on the token. Definitely sees you. But yeah, run wherever you need to run.
Okay. What's the key I press that shows me my distance again? I keep forgetting.
If you just go over the little circle thing with the ruler and snap to center, you can just drag it and it will just do the little arrow.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And it should
What was the one? Isn't there like Q or something you can press to like give yourself little?
maybe.
Was it?
I don't know. Are you looking for the one that like
Oh.
just
For when
jumps?
you're actually moving.
Z?
Hold
I forgot.
hold down. So hold down on it with your left mouse button, and then tap your right mouse button, and then you'll get an arrow.
Aha. There we go.
And then if you tap your right mouse button again, you can place a spot. So you have kind of a walking path. So it goes like that.
Okay. I'm just heading like due north. And of course I can't move the map, so that's 50.
Okay.
60, so that's my dash.
All right. Cool. Pax.
Hey, now with great invisibility, I can cast spells and it still maintains my visibility, correct?
As long as you don't cast another concentration spell, yes.
Okie doke.
I mean, it didn't move towards you. You don't have anything within reach, so I don't think you have anything that would work. Dragon, you should your sword out.
Oh, I was holding my dash until Anthea ran, just like last time.
Oh, I thought you said you were holding your attack action. But yeah, you can.
No,
Your
that's
dash.
Naomi.
No, yeah, your dash goes off, so you can sprint up behind her.
Okay, I go right here.
Okay, cool. All right.
Cool. What's a distraction spell I have? 120 feet. Oh, that's a message. Yes. So their attention has been on Anthea most recently, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I think there's this tree here. Okay, this will math out. Let's see here, 35 feet. Make sure this works. It's 10, 20, 25. Okay. So, dupe. Medical orb over there. It's gonna blow up in acid or something. Ha! Distract.
Okay.
Invisible.
You're casting it at the giant ape.
No, at the rock.
Oh, at the rock.
And not to attack, but like, oh my gosh, there's a thing. Look over
Oh, okay.
there. We run
Cool.
away.
So you're creating a distraction. Got it.
Correct.
All right. Cool.
90 feet medical. Let's make it. Sure, like right here. Like I'm trying to set this part of the tree on fire. Oh, I'm gonna run away from that.
Okay.
Let's make this tree on fire. Sure.
All right. Cool.
Behind it, yeah.
Chromatic orb of first level. Don't care about the damage. So it's just...
Yeah. So the tree starts to get set on fire, and you see one of the trolls' heads look at the tree,
I want...
It's the same. You just say what the damn, yeah.
It did point twice.
The one troll kind of, since it's now their turn, shifts them to be here, away from the burning fire, so that they. I'm gonna roll a perception check to see if they see, since they move now with the one head is gonna point out to the other ones that you guys are escaping. So I'm gonna roll 2, and the one head still focus on the giant ape. Oh, wrong button. Ignore that. I want. Oh, actually, it's still +5, so we can just use that. It's +5 for perception too. So they notice as they move past the fire, they do notice that you guys. Well, they see Naomi at this point, based on that weird line for how. Because these guys are huge, but it's still gonna attack this giant ape because that was its first meal. So let me roll a d6 first. See if. Nope. Cool. All right. So bite attack. 13. All right. Cool. And then claw attack. So that's what, 15, 27. Cool. So this giant ape is looking real bad. Here comes the third attack. This giant ape, as it gets bitten down and 2 claws come down on it, falls. And you hear this grumbling in a language that you do not know, as the dire troll it used, I'm going to say it used 5 feet to shift there. It's going to use the rest of its movement, and it has 2 more attacks if it can get
What
near.
about what about Simon? Because Simon was being delicious down here.
Let me see. Actually, I'm just going to roll a d20 and to see, because it knows that there are more of you guys, which are more food than Simon. But let's roll a d20. If it's higher, then it's going to chase after you guys. If it's lower, it's going to sit there and contemplate life for a minute. Alright, so it's going to run up this way. Because if it was contemplating life the next turn, you guys would have had a whole nother round to run away, and then it was likely going to chase after Simon. So it's got 40 feet, so it's going to basically avoid the fire and try and run like that. It doesn't know you're there, Pax. It's just going to run that way. So bam, it gets here, which is in your range.
Yep. As soon as it gets within my range, I take it at it.
Cool.
15.
Just hits.
Awesome. 8 points of slashing damage.
And you have one more attack. Yep.
Yeah, sure.
That misses.
9. Can I knock it back with that first one?
So it'll basically, from where it is right now, because you attacked him at the 10-foot range, you can't push him through the tree, so he's kind of against the tree as is right now. So he can't really get pushed back any further because of the angle that you're hitting straight on. So
Okay.
he can't go
Do you
back
want me to
anywhere.
mark it off still or no?
No, you don't have to burn a second one. But he also can't run any further than that, right? Because Sentinel keeps him from running.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Sentinel.
So if you're hitting him, he's at 10 feet. So he's in your range because you have a 10-foot range, right?
Correct.
All right. So
And then I can also hit him. No, I don't get my bonus action with the attack action, right?
correct. But his reach is also 10 feet, so he's gonna reach out 2 claw attacks at you since he can't go anywhere. And well, you're right there now. So here's the first claw and the second claw attack.
Both of those hit.
Yeah, for 29 total damage. Pax, you see the dire troll sprinting, and then it stops because it gets slashed down by Naomi's glaive, which you're not unfamiliar with. It happens frequently. And then it just reaches out with 2 of its elongated arms and slashes deep into Naomi's armor. The giant ape is dead, so I'm going to take out of initiative because it's just laying there on the ground. Oh wait, Naomi, it's your turn. I accidentally skipped over you. It's your turn. What are you gonna do?
Okay, I'm gonna give it another shot.
Okay.
I'm gonna shout, "Stay!"
To the.
And I'm gonna use command.
Okay.
Damn it.
Does not work.
Okay. I will take off then. I have 30 feet of movement. So 5,
Alright,
10.
It's gonna
15,
take a
20.
It's gonna take a reaction slice with its claws at you.
Okay. That hits.
For 15 more damage. Dragon, you see, and Pax, you see Naomi chasing after you guys, and then just catches a claw in her back as she turns. She's looking pretty hurt. Compared to what you saw her like 10 seconds ago, she's looking in a bad kind of way. Alright, Dragon. What you want to do? Pi, I think you muted. I can't
You
hear
were
no
muted.
words.
I am muted. I was listening to music. Oopsies.
What you want to do?
I look at Naomi, and I say, again, what is your command? Do we stay and fight, or do we keep trying to run from this beast?
Safety is of the utmost importance. If we can stall it, we can outrun it.
Dragon just kind of nods his head, and let me see something. Okay.
Oh, dang it.
I am going to hold Shadow Steel,
Okay.
and this shadow is going to start forming off of Dragon as right here, next to that tree, I call forth my shade.
Nice.
And that's a bonus action,
Correct.
and it's free movement to move the echo, right? It's a free thing?
Yes. It just can't end outside of that radius of you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I will also move forward a little bit.
Yeah, you both have your own movements.
Just want to make sure real quick.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna move right here. Yep. And then the fella is gonna move into melee.
Okay.
And I will take 2 attacks from my echo.
Alright.
Because I believe I can do that.
You can take all your attacks from your echo. You never have to set foot in combat if you don't want to.
Yeah, that's accurate. So first one.
That hits.
Now I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can the echo expend the
Yes.
charges?
Yep.
Okay. Well, the echo is going to expend 2 of the charges of Shadow Steel
Okay.
to blind the sucker and make him automatically fail.
Okay. You guys see as Dragon sprints a little bit, and you see like this darkened copy of Dragon appear in front of this 4-armed 3-headed troll, and as he slices down with this even shadowier blackened sword, it's almost like it's shadow boxing, but Dragon's swinging a sword and it's attacking from this spot in front of the troll. You see that the shadows almost climb off of the sword itself and read their way around the abdomen, up the torso, around the shoulders, around the neck of this troll as they climb into its eyes and kind of blindfold all 3 heads to immediately make the troll start swinging out as if it's become blind.
And I just want to double check, blindness deafness isn't one of those spells where if you attack it again, it can save.
No, I think I specifically put in that thing that they are just blinded.
Because I know some spells like that, if you hit them again, they get a save. I don't know if blindness deafness works like that.
Let me see. Ba-ba-ba-bum. At the end of each of its turn, it can make a con save. That's it.
Okay, so I can make my second attack and he won't get a save.
Correct. You just have advantage because he's blind.
Perfect, because I want to keep him busy with the shade.
Yeah, that hits for 13 more damage.
Yep.
Are you going to attack again?
How many? Can I do that? I thought I only have 2 attacks.
You have Unleash Incarnation, which you can do a number of times equal to your con mod.
Oh, I don't have to be the one attacking to use Unleash Incarnation. The Echo can.
You can do all of your attacks are just coming from somewhere else. So
God.
you can attack twice, bonus action attack, Unleash Incarnation on both of those, action surge, and do 2 more, and then do 1 more Unleash Incarnations. You can just,
Echo Knights are amazing.
just wreck out attacks, man.
Okay, I'm gonna use an Unleash Incarnation then.
Okay.
For a third.
Okay.
At advantage, right?
Get him,
Yeah,
Kai.
it's a regular attack roll. You just have a limited number based on your con mod per day.
But
Or-
but I have advantage because he's
oh
blind.
yeah.
Okay.
Another 9. Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right.
And I just kind of, that's my turn. I know to keep him busy. I calculated it. I
Oh,
specifically
yeah,
moved.
I figured. I was just double checking. Anthea, it's your turn. You see that this thing starts chasing you, but then it gets holed up over by this tree. And it's not going anywhere. What you want to do?
Giant?
Mhm.
How's it looking? Does it look like it's taking a lot of damage, or
It's looking like it's taking all of the damage that you guys are doing. It's still looking pretty hardy. It's a huge big thing. So I mean,
yeah?
it's just not having a good time.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn to Naomi and say, "We still running?" Like yell over my shoulder.
Yes, run.
All right, got you. And then I'm gonna healing word her, and then I'm gonna book it with the rest of my action. So she gets 12. I'm sorry, it's not much, but it's something.
It's more than the 30 I had before.
And then yeah, I'm just gonna use my dash to just get like out.
Okay, cool. We'll just say that you're just like up here and then plus 30 feet from wherever that is. So cool. All right. Pax.
Yeah. Okay. So having heard the conversation from Anthea and Naomi, I think I would continue with the run plan.
Okay.
5 feet. Not quite. I could just a good dash. Just want to hear Naomi. Heal Naomi. Shade is there. 42. Okay, Naomi. Heal or run as you run by you. Speed, whatever. 4.
As you're running by, she shouts, can you make it quiet around that guy so he can't hear what direction we're going?
Around this guy.
Yes.
Cool. I'll just drop silence. What is the range? The range. 120 feet. That seems quite doable.
You just cast silence,
Dang
huh?
it. Nothing to double.
Center on a point you choose. All right, so basically it's gonna be like a point like right here because it can't be on him, but it could be on a point right in front of him.
We'll make it this point so it catches him and also the space in front of him. So as he moves towards us, there's still more silence.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna just put the vision token there.
Spider of silence.
On
Spider.
the bright side, you're prepared for this silence.
I am.
Oof. And that's it for me. Run inside. Shh. Be quiet, guys.
Cool.
And this might be my last round. I am expecting a pickup, which I think I'll be out of cell site. So.
Yeah. That's cool. We're gonna be done once this combat's over anyway. So, this.
Awesome if I do have to dip suddenly.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. This troll is everything gets real quiet and real dark. The troll is very confused, and out of fear of all of a sudden losing sight and hearing simultaneously, because it's quiet. It's just gonna attack the thing that was there and attacking it. So, you don't see this because, well, you do see it actually. You all see it. I'm thinking darkness, not blindness. So here's your bite against your shade. 17.
That misses.
Yep. Oh yeah. Also, I forgot that he had this. Nothing's gonna matter. Of course, he gets it back now. That's fine. So here's the first claw attack.
Nope.
Second claw attack.
Yeah, he's gone.
So it's just swinging and swinging, and swinging. I mean, it's effectively gonna burn its next two attacks and not know where to go. So it's just gonna follow where it saw people, and it's just gonna run forwards blindedly. It's gonna burn effectively all of its attacks swinging because it doesn't feel the creature there anyway because it's technically a ghost, so you don't have actually any corporeal form. So it's just gonna run 40 feet this way. It's still blinded. It's just gonna end up right there, but it's not gonna have any attacks to left this round. It's just gonna run right there. It can hear stuff again. And it's a con save, right, on that thing?
On the blindness.
Yeah. I think it's 16. It fails. It's still
Yeah.
blind. It just runs. It doesn't hear anything. You just see this dire troll enemy running at you, arms flailing, and just this blackened stuff over its eyes, so it can't see anymore. And it stops right there. What you want to do?
Well, let's see if we can't put it back into that silence and make it very uncomfortable again. 17.
You have advantage because it's blind. Okay,
16.
So 17, it does hit for 7, yeah.
Back 10 feet.
Boop, boop.
Is it safe to say you're still in my 10-foot radius to swing again?
Yeah, sure. I like that. Because you went from basically right up front to like 10 feet away, so yeah, he's 10 feet.
24 to hit for 10?
Yeah.
And I want to expend that last charge and knock him back another 10 feet into the silence once more.
Cool. You do not get to hit him with your back end of it unless you run closer. So, which
No, I completely understand. No, I'm running away. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30.
All right.
I'm going off the map.
Cool. Dragon.
And then, if I can,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like Simon to hold a bark action as soon as he leaves the silence bubble. Simon's just going to bark like crazy and try to get his attention back on Simon again.
Okay. Cool.
Especially since he's blind.
All right. Dragon.
Yeah, I'm gonna also begin dashing away. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and off the map.
Okay. So we'll say I'm just gonna roll a con save and see if he gets unblinded. I don't think he's going to, but let's see. He is
Well,
unblinded, but by the time it's all of your guys' turns, you have ran far enough away that he is seeing you running, and he's not gonna end up catching you. So he's just gonna move over to this way. He's gonna move towards Simon, and my assumption is Simon is going to run away. And
You are correct, but he has more. No, actually, he's tied with movement with Simon, so Simon would probably be able to outrun him.
yeah, he could. Dire Troll is gonna end up going to Giant Ape, and Iggy and Simon can make their way back to you guys. So makes their way back to y'all, and you guys get away without any real issues. You guys get off and get out of there
Anybody dying.
without anybody dying, which is great success, right? So you guys get away nice and successfully, and you run and run and run and run for a solid 20 minutes to get out of that fray. But you guys spend the rest of the day continuously maneuvering through the forest. You don't encounter anything else today. I'm just gonna put you guys back down here. And you guys can end up taking a long rest tonight. So we'll say when we pick up next time, you will have completed your first week's worth of travel towards the spooky place that Kathy told you about. So, first week of travel done. You guys did not die to the dire troll and giant ape. You strategically fought them and won.
I got to fight some stuff.
You did. I will say that was not a planned combat until you were like, do I get to fight? Okay, fine. I'll give you one. I'll just give you one. It's fine. But yes, so you guys make it your first week of travel, only encountering the one big situation. We will pick up next time with you guys continuing your travel into the scarier and scarier places. But until then, have a good one.
Great game, Alex, as always.
Survived.
We survived! We
Yeah.
did it! Yay! Oh my gosh. Well, with that, we will pick up next time with another week's worth of travel and on our way to the spooky place. But for now, everybody say goodbye to YouTube.
Bye.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube. Happy dungeon delving, everyone.